A lot of people ask me this question, especially from COVID. There's a whole bunch of people still that hang out at their house and watch videos. Listen, I'm not against watching videos, but I do believe that you should be in the house of God. In this video, we answer the question, why should a Christian go to church? Listen, one of the reasons that Christians should go to church is to worship and praise. We should worship and praise with one another. Worshiping God together. Come, let us bow down and worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. Psalms 95:6. This is one of the things that David knew. David said, I was glad when they said, let us come into the house of the Lord. David loved to worship God. David worshiped God for 13 miles after the Ark of the Covenant when they were taken into Jerusalem. David loved to worship. David loved being in the temple to worship. Christians gather to worship God collectively, recognizing His greatness and expressing their love and gratitude. Listen, why wouldn't we want to do this together with our brothers and sisters? We go to the movies with our brothers and sisters. We go to restaurants with our brothers and sisters to eat. Why wouldn't we want to worship God with our brothers and sisters? Another reason that we go to church is fellowship and community. Listen, Christian comes from the community. There's a video on here. I'll put it in the description or something like that. That there's a difference between disciples and Christians. A Christian is in the community of the believers. A disciple is a fully devoted follower of Jesus. So, community and encouragement. Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together. We shouldn't give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Hebrews 10:24-25. Gathering together encourages and strengthens believers in the faith. We should love to gather with our brothers and sisters, to uplift each other, to encourage each other. Another reason why a Christian should go to church: teaching and learning, teaching and edification. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, to breaking of the bread, and to prayer. Acts 2:42. We go to church for prayer. We go to church to learn. And we go to church to hear our pastor preach. The Bible says that they were breaking bread together. Set an example of gathering for teaching, fellowship, and prayer. Teaching, fellowship, and prayer. Again, teaching, fellowship, and prayer. We go to church for teaching and learning. Another reason that a Christian should go to church is communion. We call this the meal that heals. For whatever you eat of this bread and drink of this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until He comes. 1 Corinthians 11:26. Preparing communion together is a key aspect of Christian worship. Communion is worship unto God. As the Bible says, to do this in remembrance of me. When Jesus did this, He wasn't alone. He was gathered with people. Another reason that a Christian should go to church is prayer and reflection. Corporate prayer. They all join together continually in prayer. along with the woman and Mary and the mother of Jesus, and with his brothers. Acts 1:14. Praying together as a community is an important practice. The Bible says that when two or three are gathered together, he is in the midst. Listen, praying for one another is a very, very important thing. We should cover each other in prayer. Another reason that we should go to church is obedience and tradition. Now, a lot of people will be like, obedience and tradition? What are you talking about? The Bible says on the first day of the week, we come together to break bread. Acts 20, verse 7. Gathering for worship on Sundays follows the tradition of the early church. They set aside the first of their week for God. Again, they set aside the first of their week for God. Sunday morning is a 10th of the week. We give God Sunday. Again, we give God Sunday. We give God Sunday. We're not at the ball field. We're not at the soccer game. We're not at home playing Xbox, Nintendo. We give God the first of our week. Another reason that Christians should go to church is service and mission. Serving together. All the believers were together and they had everything in common. They sold property and possessions and gave everything to anyone who had need. Acts 2:44-45. In the early church, people sold all that they had for the mission and lived together and served together. Christians serve and support each other in their communities. We are called to service. We are called to mission. We are called to world missions. We are called to helping people around the world. Another reason that we should go to church is spiritual support. Pastoral care. Is anyone among you sick? Let them call the elders of the church and pray over them and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord. James 5:14. Church leaders provide spiritual care and guidance. Listen, I don't know where I would be without my pastor's guidance and my pastor's care. I don't know where I would be at. We need that as Christians. We need that. Listen, we need to rejoice together. We need to celebrate together. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those that mourn. Romans 12:15. The church community shares in each other's joys and each other's sorrows, celebrating important events together. Listen, it would be the enemy's tactic and his best day for you to sit at home by yourself, because he can get at your head. It's the devil's playground, is the mind. The devil gets you in isolation by yourself and beats the heck out of you. Be around people. Go to the church house. Be like David. I was glad when they said, "Let us go in the house of the Lord." Until next time, you're either the harvest or the harvester.